top couple. What's the issue? Richie, give me 2 reasons. We'll go 1-1-1-1. But if we don't hit 500, what's your number one reason we won't hit 500? Like, what are the issues that you could foresee not letting FSU get there?
I think he was a great pickup, but the most important position in any sport is quarterback, and more so in college than in the NFL, in my opinion. So if Tommy does not work out, then that would be the reason. If he had, a DJ type season where we all had high hopes and it just clearly did not work out, that would be number one for me.
Yeah, mine is, I'm going to get real granular with this one. I think if you lose to Virginia, right? I think we both just did our easiest to toughest rankings, and we had Virginia pretty low, right, as the 4th or 5th easiest game, right, somewhere around there. If you're losing that one, and obviously if you've lost to Bama 3 weeks before that, and then you play Miami right after you play Virginia, I mean, you're talking about starting 2-3. And I think that Virginia game is a huge swing game. And to me, it's the most important game on the schedule. Now, if you beat Bama, you turn around and say hindsight's 2020, that was the most important game. But if things go about like the odd makers think, if you lose that Virginia game, I think you start looking at the rest of the schedule and saying, man, there ain't a lot of more free wins on this schedule, right? You couldn't go win in Charlottesville. Are you going to go win at Stanford? Are you going to beat Wake? Are you going to beat Virginia Tech? Are you going to beat Pitt? So to me, I think if you're finishing under 500, it's because you've lost to Virginia, and that's a massive game for me. Richie, what's your second one?
Yeah, and this is a low hanging fruit, really easy answer, but it does matter. Health of the team, injuries.
Yeah, just commented that.
If you lose key players or anything like that's a huge deal. We've seen injury riddled teams at Florida State that have struggled, and it might sound like an excuse because every team has injuries, and this is an extreme outlier to an extent, but that 2013 Florida State team only lost one starter to injury, and he was replaced by some guy named Jalen Ramsey. So health of the team, it's all about luck, really. It is, because people are, when you're having a bad year and a lot of injuries, everyone wants to go blame, the strength and conditioning program must be trash. And then the next year you only lose 2 or 3, impact players. And they're like, maybe it's not as bad as we thought. There's injury luck is a very real thing. We saw a very nasty injury in one of the preseason games earlier, or last week, I guess you would say it now. And it was just a freak injury, and those things do happen. So I know it's an easy answer, a cop-out, but injuries, that could turn the season off the rails.
I'll get right back to the video, but would you like to go to the sold-out Alabama FSU game for free? We've got your chance to enter to win. No purchases necessary, but go to T1RX.com, T1RX.com/pages/FSU Bama Tix, TIX. And enter to win 2 tickets to the FSU Alabama game. All we need is your name and information so we can contact you. You go sign up, enter to win today. You'll get 2 free tickets to the tailgate as well. You can find all the information for that out on Eventbrite. While you're over there on T1RX.com, check out some of their supplements, some of the things that I am taking myself personally. But listen, you don't have to buy anything. Go and enter for a chance to win those tickets right now. Yeah, to me, it's this goes right in line with Richie's. And then what we'll do is we'll answer the other side of this. If we do go 500, above 500, what happened? Appreciate Glenn for the super chats and the love. But the other one to me plays into Richie's a little bit. It's depth on the trenches. Richie already mentioned this, but it's so important. And, Florida State had an offensive line that was ranked in the hundreds last year. And so you as bad as you might have thought quarterback play was, or running back play, or wide receiver play, or anything else, if your trenches aren't working, right, if you can't run the ball or you can't block anybody, then you end up with 8 sacks against Florida and 7 fumbles. And you have what our running backs average like less than a yard before contact. I think those are massive, and so if there are injuries, that depth on the offensive and defensive line, right? I like the starting defensive line. We talked about that a lot, but I'm not super confident in the depth. I like the starting offensive line. I'm not super confident in the depth behind them. So that kind of plays into Richie's, but it was what I was thinking as well. All right, Richie, let's do this. We'll just do one each for this one. If they go above 500, if they are able to bounce back and at least be somewhat respectable, right? Even, 7 wins isn't going to make anybody thrilled around here. But if they're able to go above 500, if they're able to hit their win total, right? 6.5, 7.5 wins, somewhere around there, what has gone right?
For me, this is a pretty easy one. It's Norvell being able to adapt to taking more of a CEO role.
I like this. Yeah.
give the offense entirely to Malzahn, trust him. He's proven himself in what he can do. I think but bringing in Herb Hand was a huge deal because when you have an offensive coordinator and O-line coach who are on the same page entirely, and they know the offense they want to run, they've proven it works at multiple stops. I think Norvell just taking a step back, being the motivator coach. Like if you're playing CFB 26, you can pick an option. I would actually love for Norvell to be the recruiter coach, but just be the motivator and kind of run the program, hold people accountable. But it's really hard, and we saw this with Jimbo, to take a step back when you've been running the offense and let someone else do it. Jimbo always said he had a 5-year plan of when he was going to give up the offense. That never happened, and it was never going to happen. So I think that's the biggest deal is can Norvell put his ego aside, and people will say, oh, he's a super humble guy. Yes, I think he is, but every head football coach at a major university has an ego. Can he put that aside, even if the season starts out rough, and put total trust into Gus Malzahn? I have to think that was part of the contract negotiations and, the recruitment or courting process to get him here. That's what I would love to see. And I think if he does that, the defense will be good enough and the offense will put up enough points to win more games than not.
If we go above 500, we have, we improve our turnover margin exponentially. I loved Richie's answer though. Before I get to mine, if we go over 500, if we get to 7.5, 8 wins, somewhere in there, then the hires have worked out, right? Gus was effective in working with Tommy. The defense was more aggressive. We got better teaching on the offensive line, all those things, better development at wide receiver. Then the hires were right, and Richie had a better answer than I'll ever have. But I mean, you first force more than 7 turnovers, right, in a season. I think we forced 7 turnovers in 12 games last year. I think our turnover margin was minus 16. So we gave the ball away 23 times, if my math is not terrible there. So you have a positive turnover margin, right? You've got to be on the season. You've got to be taking it away. Now, if you want to win 9-10 games, then you need to be plus 16, right? But if you at least get that pretty close to even, you're taking the ball away about as much as you're giving it away, you should be around 500. I mean, that's just turnovers are largely luck at times, but a lot of times tied to success, right? You're giving teams extra possessions. And over the course of 12 games, if you turn the ball over less than you take it away, you're going to win more games. So turnovers are they were terrible last year for us. We weren't aggressive on defense. I'm hopeful that Tony White can help that and fix that a little bit. And obviously I hope, Castellanos does what he did last year, where he didn't turn the ball over nearly at all. And the running backs do a good job of holding on to it as well. So great question. We'll clip that up. We'll make it a segment. So good job there for a good kind of off the wall question.